obviously YouTube is a platform that everybody's very excited about. It's, you know, where a lot of dance music is traded and, you know, artists are made or broken on YouTube. Jamal has single-handedly built one of the most influential channels on YouTube, pretty much by himself. He's a poster boy for the YouTube generation. He's worth a reported £8 million, but we'll talk about that later, right? And he's only 23, so he's quite an inspirational character. So we're going to chat a little bit about Jamal's story and kind of where he came from and how he got to this fantastic position that he's in today. But we're going to start with Jamal actually fronted a Google Chrome ad. So that sort of tells his story way better than I can in my kind of blundering northern way. So we're going to watch that first, just as a little intro.
My stamina's healthy, so it's music, no more beat in the shows. Not just in it for the peas and the gold. I'm just a kid who dreams bigger than the rest. Now I'm living them correct, here sitting in the S.
SB, if you need a bar, then get me.
Educate yourself, see it's not the money you make. It's compulsory, some are calling it poetry. SBTV. But you never catch me. Explosive. Style, don't think I'm a blow. I get therapy now.
SBTV.
Like a tractor. I ride smooth, like a train. Choo-choo, go hard, go faster. Stack peas every day. I ride smooth, like a tractor.
Cool. Okay, so obviously that frames the story pretty well. I've not seen that ad yet, actually. Sick.
Thank you.
Okay, so I think we're just going to let's go through the story, you know, because a lot of people won't be completely familiar with it, and obviously it's pretty amazing. So let's maybe talk about how you started out.
So I got a camera for my 15th birthday, and at first it was quite, I didn't know what to film, so I started off filming anything and everything. I remember I was quite an addict of Steve Irwin, so I went in my back garden and started filming foxes and like wildlife in my garden. And I'd done that a few times, and it got quite a load of views on YouTube because my commentary, people said, was jokes, but I couldn't keep on doing that. So I started filming musicians that I didn't think were getting the mainstream media love. And then that's when it started snowboarding, because that's something which sort of spread out.
And how old were you at this time?
About 14, 15. Yeah, I was about 15 years old. Yeah.
Okay, so literally you moved on from the foxes. That was like your start.
I think because I always say you've got to experiment with something before you find what it is. So I was experimenting with wildlife when I found out I actually wanted to film music.
Yeah. And so how were you finding the artists then? Were they people you knew? Were they friends?
Yeah, at first it was just mainly my mates, and then I started trying to go to the record labels and waiting outside hotels to try and get people out of much more of a bigger status and stuff.
Okay, so you just had a cheap camera that you got as a present.
Yeah.
You're finding artists, you're videoing them, and then you're editing the stuff, and then you're putting it live.
Yeah, I was teaching myself. A lot of it was on YouTube, so I was Googling how to render my videos, what sort of format to put it in, how long you should do it for. So I spent hours literally on tutorials of how to do it.
Okay. But at this point, it was just a hobby, right?
Yeah, it was just a hobby. I was working in Top Man for about 4 years just to sort of buy tapes and get by. And then once I started earning money off YouTube, I went home and my mum was like, no, you're not leaving. Like, it's not a steady income. You need to stay in work. And it was sort of, I kept on building it and building it and building it till the YouTube check started matching the amount of money I was getting paid from Top Man.
So you were doing the job, but it was to fund your dream, basically.
Basically. Loads of people saying they look at a job and see it as a dead end, but that sort of helped me get where I am today, sort of thing. And it helped me sort of open up as a character as well.
Yeah. So what? So how did you actually start receiving money from YouTube? You actually had to. I remember reading you physically had to kind of hassle them a couple of times because they didn't take you seriously at first, right?
Yeah, I applied for a YouTube partnership. Now you can get a YouTube partnership straight away. But when I first applied, I think I got denied like 3 times, and it was sort of keep on persevering, showing them this isn't on YouTube, and it was a lot of original music content, so just kept on going back, and in the end I got it. Nowadays you can sign up to YouTube and earn money off your videos straight away. Yeah.
So, and was there a particular day when you were like, right, I don't need to work in Top Man anymore, I'm gonna do this full time?
Yeah, I think it was when that Google advert came out, and then my parents are quite a big part of how it swayed. Now she said, oh, now you can leave, like, you're getting known on a certain level, so it made it much more easier for me to go out and start filming.
She gave you the blessing.
Yeah.
But it took a while.
Yeah,
she sounds quite feisty, your mum.
Yeah, she is.
Tell us a bit about her, because she used to be a house singer, right? And that was how you got some of your influence.
In 1997, she done a track with Mr. Jack in Holland called Wiggly World, and that's where I sort of got my sort of, because she always listening to house music, and I think I was 7 years old, or 7 or 8, and she always used to play that sort of music in the house out and about. But I haven't really portrayed it in SBTV that much. It mainly started off like acoustic, grime, rap, hip-hop, but more recently I've been sort of branching out into the electronic spaces. That's like what I'm a big fan of.
Tell us a little bit about that then, because obviously that's where it brings it into relevance with IMS. Mm. I know that you've interviewed quite a few big house stars and you've got a few plans. Maybe you could tell the guys a little bit about how that panned out.
Yeah, I'm a big fan, but I was just trying to think of content that I can do, like what I've done for singers and rappers around DJs and producers. I've done a few already with like Eats Everything, MK, Shadow Child, Seth Troxler, Hannah Wants, like people that I've sort of been out and about and been to their parties. I've got in touch with them and they've sort of allowed me to do a video. So I want to sort of apply what I've done to the acoustic rappers, other side of the music, to electronic music. Yeah.
Okay. Actually, maybe just as a bit of a background for people who aren't familiar, maybe you could just quickly summarize kind of what the channel is now, because obviously it started off with you uploading the videos of you of grime MCs and stuff, but it's grown quite substantially now to be a lot of other things. Yeah, maybe
so,
just...
it started off originally me filming rappers and singers. Now I'll call it more of like a youth lifestyle channel. It's predominantly music, but now I want to sort of do like comedy, fashion, sport, and even diverse a little bit in the music genre, because I feel like grime producers like Predator and Flavor D, which probably no one might have heard of, but they've started producing house music, so it's like I've started working with them to sort of ease my audience into that sort of genre.
Yeah, I suppose that's because it's quite tricky for a lot of brands as well that maybe come up through one particular genre to then kind of diversify and still keep sort of relevant. So what's kind of guided you in that change?
I always say talent is talent regardless of what genre it is, and I always try and push that message out there, and I'm always very wary of where SBTV started and where I want to take it, and it's like using the people that I sort of filmed at the beginning and catching up with them, because they've evolved, so it's like SBTV can evolve with them as well. Yeah.
I want to, how old are you now? 20?
23.
23, right.
Yeah.
So I've been a journalist for 20 years and I haven't interviewed half of the people that you've interviewed. So it's pretty impressive. The list includes, who's it include? Rihanna, Spike Lee, Bill Gates, David Cameron, Ed Miliband, Prince Charles, Jamie Foxx, George Clinton. So you're doing something right. Do you feel like you've got like a particular interviewing style? I don't know, you've obviously got something that's kind of making people feel at home and kind of let you in a little bit. I don't know.
I always try and either get people before they blow up, or try and...
Not Prince Charles, though.
Yeah, so that... The Prince Charles thing was a message to sort of inspire self-belief amongst a lot of young people. So that's the reason why I did it. Like, more recently, I'll only do something if I can try and tell a story with it. So it's either they're up and coming or they're really well known and I'm doing something a bit different that no one else has seen. Yeah. So no one else has really seen Prince Charles sitting on a sofa talking to a bunch of kids on an online channel anyway. You might have seen it on TV, but yeah.
I think it's a bit more than that, because I remember the first time I met you was here, I think, 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And I was hosting a panel for the Young Guns, it was called. So it was you and Luke from UKF and a lot of other people under like 25 or 30 who were really successful. Mm-hmm. I remember meeting you in the green room, and I was just, just this mad kid with a video camera going, yo, Nick DeCosemo of Mixmag, what's going on, whoa? Yeah. And it was like, you were just kind of, not in people's faces, but you were just there like the whole time, like everything was being documented, but like you were so like fucking energetic and enthusiastic. It just sort of, I don't know, people, I was like, all right. You know,
yeah, I had it's my little flip cam that I normally take everywhere with me. People think, some people are a bit scared of it, but I feel like I try and show my personality behind the camera because I'm not really in front of the camera, but that's why I have to be sort of speaking and sort of trying to get as much banter from people as possible. And that's what, like, one of my main things that I try and do, especially for, if it's not big cameras, it's like not really invading your personal space.
I suppose people are like a little more used to it now. Do you find that younger people are more at ease, like talking into the camera than older ones? I wonder if there's a...
I feel like they want to embrace it. If they know the right way, then it will work. Other than that, I don't try and segregate anything. I think anyone can film and sort of build a platform, especially now with the internet. It makes it a lot more easier. Yeah. Okay,
I'm going to talk about, we had a little chat about some of the people you've interviewed earlier and some of the stories. Some of them which I thought were quite amusing. So let's have a look. Let's just kind of talk about. So tell us about Kelly Rowland was like your first big breakthrough interview, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And you didn't do it in a traditional manner by calling up a press officer and having a lot of time. Do you want to tell people what happened?
I waited outside Mayfair Hotel for a few hours, trying to get into the Mayfair Hotel. And at the end, we got in and I spoke to the manager and I was like, look, I've got a new channel, a music channel. They was down to the traditional press, so it was like the MTV, BBC, and I sort of had to encourage them to do something which was on YouTube, quite new. In the end, they gave in, and I've done interviews with her after. But
so you literally persuaded Kelly Rowland's manager to let you interview her after waiting outside the hotel?
Yeah, we had 5 minutes, so it was like the UK interview, and I had like my flip, I had my camera, and before that was MTV with their huge cameras, and I was a bit embarrassed because I didn't really have their sort of huge cameras, but in the end, what made it good is that it was much more of a personal interview, and that's what I try and push out there.
Yeah. Okay, so that was first. Then you had a big opportunity with Nicki Minaj in a lift.
Yeah, that one was, the label told me not to get into the lift, and I did get into the lift. And basically what happened, it all went good, and we filmed, but the label called me back at the end, was like, oh, can you do that again? And it's like, if I didn't take that risk, and I've taken loads of risks, some go bad, some go well, that one went well. But other than that, a lot of people are sort of scared to take a risk. If I was scared to take a risk, I don't think I'd be sitting here today. Yeah.
And tell us about, so you ended up going on through this method as you got bigger and you were getting more and more access. You ended up touring with Dr. Dre, which is obviously something that's pretty amazing, especially as he's quite reclusive. You know, he's not massively media open to the media. So, maybe fill us in on that story and how that came about. Yeah,
that was a risk. It didn't go well at the end, but I waited at Roundhouse and I got a picture. And then I put that on my social media, and then the SVP of Beats called me up the next week and said, do you want to go and tour around Asia? And I said, yeah. I didn't think twice about it. I just picked up my camera, jumped on a flight the next few days. So hold on,
just to get this straight, you waited outside the Roundhouse, you took a picture, were you with Dre? Or
it was with Dre.
Then you put it on your social media.
And I sent that to the Beats office, and I was like, look, how many likes and people are commenting. I'd love to stay in touch.
And then they invited you to go on tour around Asia with them.
Yeah, for a week. And it was him, Jimmy Iovine, Snoop Dogg, and will.i.am. And I went there by myself. We went to Singapore, Thailand, Taiwan, like just loads of places in Asia to launch Beats. And I filmed everything. We had a good relationship. And then Omar said to Dre, we're gonna get an editor to edit this. And then Dre was like, no, like trust Jamal, like he can do it. And obviously at the end, I didn't back up the footage and I lost quite a lot of it. And that was one of my lessons learned, of always to back footage up. It was just mental. Yeah. But that was a risk that I took. And I wish I said to, when they originally called me, can I bring a cameraman along with me and I'll be the director? But I just thought, no, I can't miss this opportunity. But I've learned to always carry a hard drive, yeah, and back it up.
So that's lesson number one.
Yeah, that's lesson number one.
And back up regularly.
Yeah.
Send it up to the cloud straight away.
Yeah.
You salvaged some of the stuff though, right? But
yeah, I've still got some of the stuff, and I've made an edit. But it was like when I emailed Omar, he was like, Dre's not happy with you. I was like, oh. And Dre was in London like a couple months later, and it was just a bit awkward. But yeah, we'll see.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
Okay. Tell us about, so you also went on this crazy, Rihanna did this mad press trip where she took like 50 journalists on a 747 around the world.
7 places in 7 days, yeah.
All right, okay.
Mental.
And you also tagged along that. Let's talk about that bit as well, because that's quite interesting. So it was like 20 of like the world's biggest lifestyle journalists, basically.
Yeah.
A lot of my old bosses were on that flight.
The strategy I used for Rihanna was she liked trap star. So literally, the first day of the flight, I wore like a trap star jumper, a trap star hat, and I had like some trap star goodies just to try and stand out. And it's just like, it was quite weird at first, but I got one of my mates who makes sort of customizable chains, so I got him to make a Rihanna chain and stuff like that. It was just like little bits to sort of edge it in. But yeah, it was a pretty mad trip. Yeah, it was a mad trip.
You got a pretty good interview with her there as well, didn't you? I think?
Yeah,
Whereas a lot of people on that flight didn't. I remember.
Yeah, it was more of like a sort of, because I did it on my flip cam and I've still got all the footage there. I need to chop it up all together, but it was quite impersonal. But yeah, she doesn't do much either. She doesn't do much, no.
At least you like the trap star. At least you got that bit.
Yeah.
And then, sorry, just to carry on as well, because you know, like I say, you've interviewed David Cameron, Ed Miliband, who's the leader of the opposition in the UK, Richard Branson, Bill Gates.
The Bill Gates one hasn't happened yet, but it's on the pipeline.
So what's your take then when you flip up and you're interviewing like serious, boring people rather than not boring, but you know.
I try and get tips from my audience because I feel like I've got quite an audience that, I don't know, not impressionable, but sort of need guidance. So I try and get tips from people like that. From me building it from where I started when I was 15 to being emailed by the Bill Gates Foundation to get an hour with him and fly over to Seattle just shows of the progression of even the music that I film and everything I film, that it's being recognized on a global scale, even though I started it in London. How
do you approach the two different interviews? How do you approach like interviewing David Cameron versus Devlin or MC Rage or something?
I have like different types of interviews. Like for example, when I'd done Seth Troxler last week, I remember
Who should be Prime Minister, really? Huh? Who should be Prime Minister if there was any justice in the world? Seth would be Prime Minister. So you kind of, sorry, go on.
So with that, I'd done that interview, and it was much more of a personal interview about his whole music scene. He loves to cook and all that sort of stuff. I feel like some of the interviews that I can do myself, and then there's interviews where I'll ask the audience for questions, and I'll do it as sort of bridging the gap between someone that they wouldn't normally reach, and then I have interviews where it will be a presenter just doing the presenter back and forth. Okay. Yeah.
But you, You didn't include Cameron and Miliband in the show reel, right? They got dropped.
Nah, I didn't.
Not on brand.
Nah, but that was sort of politics in the UK. I think with young people, especially, they're disillusioned and they either think it's run by the Illuminati or whatever. So I just try to create a bridge where people send me their questions and then I'll be able to take it to them and they'll answer it, and then I'll be able to say, look, you've got an answer where you normally you wouldn't have got on any other day. Yeah.
How is Spike Lee interested?
We done that over Skype. So there was an interviewer, there was a camera there and there was a camera over here, and we was just talking about a new partnership that he was doing with, I can't remember, he was doing with a sports brand, and it was pretty cool because he knew about SBTV through the grapevine, through someone else that he works with, so it was like much more easier to sort of do it, yeah.
I'm interested just to talk about how you want to expand the channel as well, because we chatted earlier on again, and you said that you'd like to sort of, you know, duplicate what you've done with music, with comedy and fashion and sports and that kind of thing. How's that going to pan out? What plans have you made?
I want to try and do partnerships with different people, so people in the film space, people in the fashion space, people in the sports place, and try and do the same sort of getting people before they hit the blogs or hit mainstream media, and focusing on them and doing features on them and sort of building it in different verticals with original content. But I feel like I'll need to go in there with someone that knows that space very well and do like a sort of partnership to make it happen.
Because you feel like, I suppose the principles are transferable, aren't they? When you know the basics of how the platform works, and you know things that kind of work and don't work as far as getting views are concerned, then you can transfer that to fashion or to comedy or...
And it's also swayed by the audience. When I'm filming a certain artist, a person might comment and say, oh, you should film this person, and then I'll get in touch with that person. So it's also dictated by the audience as well, I think.
And that's something you believe strongly in, isn't it, from the start?
100%. Like feedback, I always try and take in as much feedback as possible and making sure that I'm improving it. Like my next step is to sort of less is more, get rid of my backlog and start really focusing on the production and upping the quality of that.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, I think we're going to finish with the SBTV trailer, actually, so you can see everything that Jamal's been talking about made flesh, or made pixels, or whatever. Guys, you want to run it?
Man, you got Ludacris.
Y'all, it's Kendrick Lamar.
Oh, this is G Fresh, and you're watching
SBTV.
I've got a funny feeling that Jamal will never change, thank God.
This is SBTV.
Yeah.
Fuck. Hello, SBTV.
For SBTV for the new crowd.
Exclusive. Back where it all started on SBTV.
F64.
I actually played Taylor Swift's Big Nasty's warm-up session.
Yes! Yes!
And she was so confused.
Roger, am I talking to you?
Yeah.
Am I talking to you?
Yeah, yeah.
Do me a favour, turn that camera off!
Jamal Edwards, everybody. True
Thank
inspiration.
you.
We got time for some quick couple of questions, or are we? Any questions from the floor? Or maybe we're done. Oh, this chap here.
My name's Andy, I work for IMS. It's kind of a joint question, really. Mixmag TV obviously do a live stream, and you have a YouTube channel. Like, has his YouTube channel kind of inspired Mixmag to go more into video with online and so?
Yeah, I mean, in short answer, yes. We saw, you know, I mean, we knew that obviously, you know, when I started at Mixmag 7 years ago, it was just a print magazine. Now we're we're a website with social media, we do YouTube, you know, we do events. It's kind of a 360-degree business, but particularly with YouTube, we really saw the potential, well, not even the potential, it's just that's where the audience was going. That's where the majority of people get, you know, taking their music from just watching videos on YouTube, or music-related content is through YouTube. So when we did see channels like Jamal or UKF or, you know, a number of other really inspirational label channels, and kind of took our cue from that. And that did kind of, if I'm honest, it gave us a kick up our arse because it was like, you know, we're supposed to be like the market-leading brand, and you know, there were people like Jamal were doing just amazing stuff on his own with a flip camera. So in a word, yeah, it did. It really did inspire us, and hopefully, you know, we've come on in leaps and bounds since then, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel like I watch, there's Mixmag, Resident Advisor, Defected Records, and like the partnership, for example, that Puma did with Resident Advisor, where they're focusing on the different artists. Like, that's the stuff that I want to do and build into. Like, I've done one recently with Nokia Mix Radio, where we went to Beijing and we was launching Mix Radio in Asia, and I was allowed to take 2 artists with me, like doing stuff like that. There's potential to do it in India and South Africa and loads of other places, but like partnering with brands and artists to make like cool pieces of content.
For us, like, videos definitely a massive priority, basically. So, particularly with YouTube. So. Anybody else? This gentleman.
Cheers.
Get a mic to this.
Don't really need a mic. I just want to say, Jamal, a real buzz having you here, listening to what you're doing, seeing it up there. Big respect, man.
Thank you.
you.
Nice one, thank you.